So, welcome everyone, and I feel delighted sitting here and being able to be in this kind of way with you all, and seeing the greetings certainly is a happiness producing uh, beginning of our time together, and also delighted to be able to share a practice with you and teachings with you that have been so meaningful for me and brought me much happiness and satisfaction. So, thank you. One of the things that brings much benefit and even joy in this mindfulness practice is beginning to value how much we have better things to do with our life than just letting our mind wander off in its usual habits. Now, some of you might have very wholesome and beneficial and habits of mind, and all you ever think about is how to do wonderfully virtuous and activities and things and for the world, and you just your whole very thought streams and mind streams and heart streams are simply a paradigm of joy and happiness and benefit for the whole world. Or maybe even part of it is that frequently. But I think it's a little bit embarrassing, to say it mildly, for many people when they begin meditating, to discover what their mind is up to, and how often the mind stream is actually not that beneficial, and even if it's just neutral, it's not really nourishing and enhancing our life. And to learn slowly through mindfulness that maybe we in fact do have better things to do than the usual habits of mind and what the directions we're going. And one of those things is to be present here for our direct experience, to really be attuned, to be aligned to what is actually happening in the flow of present moment experience. And to have that be clear, a clear recognition, a clear, this is what's going on. Where the clarity of knowing, the clarity of mindfulness, or the groundedness of the attention is the alternative to just letting the mind stream flow and go along the regular highways and byways of its habits and not in opposition to what the habits of the mind are, but rather just an alternative resting place, an alternative place to where we feel grounded. This is where our life flows from. It doesn't flow from the habits of the mind, the unwholesome tendencies of the mind, but it flows from a place that's deeper or fuller or an alternative. And one of those things is to clearly be aware, to clearly be present, to know what's happening in the present moment as it's happening. And it's not so much as a full throttle doing, like, okay, now I have to really get busy. But it's a kind of a knowing and clear comprehension that we learn that is alternative to the stressful ways in which the mind operates. That it is kind of brings with it a kind of clarity and a calmness and a spaciousness that becomes more and more a place of, in comparison to the usual flow of mind for many of us, a place of rest. But as that place of rest becomes fuller, to say it's rest is not really accurate anymore. It becomes neither restful nor stressful. It's neither, it feels really not so much like a doing, but not so much like a letting go of doing or a non-doing either. It's life, the wonderful flow of present moment life that we're here for and experiencing in a way that feels valuable, that feels purposeful, that feels nourishing, that feels clear and so just a valuable way of being, um, and a better alternative than the usual flow of everyday thoughts and ideas and preoccupations that some of us might have. Um, and so here we are to sit and and maybe begin to appreciate more than we have each time we sit down, to appreciate this wonderful possibility of being present and mindful. So we begin with our body and the body's posture. And to be clearly comprehending the posture you're in. Some people meditate sitting in a cross-legged sitting posture, some in a chair, some on a bench. Some people meditate standing. Some people meditate walking. Ancient tradition of walking meditation. And some people practice this mindfulness lying down. Each posture is called sometimes a dignified posture. So is there some way in whatever posture you're in that you can maybe make some slight adjustments, either physically or maybe mentally from the inside out, that you are sitting here with a kind of dignity, a kind of sense of personal respect and value, a worthiness. And maybe it's being a little bit more upright than usual, or a little bit more open-chested than normal. And gently closing your eyes. And then with clear comprehension, as if you really know what you're doing and appreciate what you're doing, and there to kind of do it and feel it as if it's nourishing for you, nurturing for you. To gently, actively take a few long, slow, deep breaths. Taking your time to really savor or recognize this is a deep in-breath. And this is an extended exhale. And there might be other thoughts and concerns that you have that keep pulling you away. But maybe there can be a recognition that some of the things you're preoccupied with maybe is not really to the point right now, or even so useful. And they may be a good alternative is to establish this intimate connection here with yourself, with your body, with your lived experience. And then consciously, as another activity to be mindful of, let your breathing slowly return to a normal breath, a normal way of breathing, without too concerned with what normal really means. Just whatever seems something that's easier and at ease with breathing. And then again, with a sense of little bit gentle sense of purpose and clarity of what you're doing, and to do it maybe in a way that just feels calming or nourishing. As you exhale, relax, soften the muscles of your face. Relax and soften around the eyes, the temple, the forehead, and just gently, softly, but consciously do the same for your shoulders. As you exhale, relax your shoulders. And even if you can't relax them, a softening around them. And if you can't soften them, maybe it's simply an appreciation of having shoulders and being with them. And a softening of your belly, relaxing. And if belly's already relaxed, or if it can't relax, maybe just appreciating the opportunity to clearly feel and sense this belly of ours. And being aware of belly in a way that is gentle and generous or appreciative of the opportunity to be present, mindful of something that's an important part of who you are, your belly. And in being mindful this way, maybe that's a good alternative to the habits of mind you usually are in. And then in a relaxed, calm way, with a little gentle sense of purpose, appreciation, to just settle in to experience the rhythm of breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Clearly, calmly knowing this is an inhale, This is an exhale. Where the mindfulness, the awareness, the knowing, maybe you can feel it as a healthy alternative to the thought streams you might get pulled into. That is gentle, relaxed, but dedicated awareness to breathing. Allows a settling, a calming, a intimacy that maybe being involved in your thought streams doesn't provide. Trusting the experience of breathing. And when you're exhaling, when it feels useful, quiet the thinking mind. So there's more room to experience breathing more. Might it be that mindfulness of breathing is the better alternative? And then as we come to the end of this sitting, to turn your attention now outward to consider and think about the people in your life, whatever comes to mind, whoever comes to mind as you do so. People you know, people you don't know, people who are challenging, people who are that you care for, people who are close by, people far away. And then consciously, purposefully, in a way that feels nourishing or supportive for you, and see if you can have thoughts of goodwill for them, of well-wishing. That may be a better alternative to some of the ways in which you might think about other people or think about the mind, be involved in the mind stream of thoughts about others. Perhaps you can have some gentle, relaxed thoughts of how wonderful it would be if others were happy, peaceful, safe. And may it be that this practice that we do today extends itself out into the world, that we live a relaxed but purposeful life, a purposeful and nourishing life, where we benefit self and others, where we contribute to a better world for ourselves and others. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe and peaceful. May all beings be free. And may we come to the time where we can really share such a world together. Happy, safe, peaceful, and free. Thank you all. So, I continue today with some of the teachings from the foundational mindfulness teachings of the Buddha, from the Discourse on the Four Foundations of Mindfulness. It begins with a very strong emphasis on mindfulness of the body. And we know that from other teachings of the Buddha that it seems pretty foundational to him, the practice of being connected and aware of the body. And in fact, there are strong statements he makes about there is no experience of awakening without mindfulness of the body. So I'd like to read the next exercise that in this discourse on mindfulness of the body. And it goes like this, and approximately like this. I paraphrase slightly. Instead of monastics, I'll render it as practitioners. A practitioner is one who acts in clear comprehension when moving forward, going forward, and returning. Who acts with clear comprehension when looking ahead and looking away. Who acts with clear comprehension when flexing and extending one's limbs. Who acts in clear comprehension when wearing clothes and carrying one's outer robe and bowl, carrying one's plates and dishes and whatever one needs. Who acts in clear comprehension when eating, drinking, consuming food and tasting. Who acts in clear comprehension when defecating and urinating. Who acts in clear comprehension when walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, talking, and keeping silent. So here there's many of the ordinary activities of daily life. Looking in one way or the other. There is walking, sitting. There is moving our limbs, legs and feet, lifting and stretching, and whatever way what we're doing with our arms, we clearly comprehend what we're doing. Like I'm lifting my hand now to make the point, and clearly comprehending that my hand goes up and I'm making my point. With an Italian gesture that I learned when growing up in Italy, the fingers coming together. And when going to the bathroom, one clearly comprehends, one is present and there for it. And this clear comprehension is a very important term. It means, the word is sampajana. Some people translate it in different ways. But I like clear comprehension, that the root of the verb is to know or comprehend, and there's a kind of emphatic prefix, to really know. So I like the word clear, clear comprehension. And rather than clear knowing, because knowing maybe implies a little bit something more simple, whereas comprehension is richer in meaning. And in fact, the commentaries suggest that clear comprehension means to clearly understand the purpose, why we're doing something. So it's a purposeful life, to clearly comprehend the suitability of what we're doing, the appropriateness, the timeliness of what we're doing, that we're living a purposeful and life that is suitable for the circumstances. So we're living appropriately, this kind of appropriate response to the situations. But doing it with some sense of purpose, not casually, not barreling ahead in habits of mind, but having a sense of what is valuable to do here and how to do it. That it also means to be, to understand the pasture of what we're doing. The pasture means where we get our nourishment, from as we are present for things. And that's explained, being present with mindfulness in our direct experience of body, feelings, mind, and dharmas, the four foundations of mindfulness. And there's so many different places our minds can be. And we know the mind stream that we live in can be often take us away in distractions and fantasy, get us swept up in irritation, complaining, criticalness, fear, anxiety, ruminations of all kinds, lost in the past, planning and anticipating the future. And some of that mind stream is wonderful and appropriate to do and part of the pleasure of life. But oftentimes it can be not really so nourishing and supportive for us. And so to live a purposeful life, a life that's appropriate for the circumstance, and one that we feel like this is beneficial, this is nourishing, supportive for me and for others. To be present and clearly aware of what we're doing as we're doing it is beneficial for the world. Because when we don't have that clear comprehension, that's when the old habits, some of the unhealthy motivations and purposes we have, can be you know, take over. And sometimes we say what we regret, we do what we later feel sorry we did. And we feel maybe we act in ways that are stressful through the day, and we get tired and exhausted by the end of the day by the stress of what we're doing. So what's, I think, wonderful about this instructions on clear comprehension of, sometimes called clear comprehension of activities, all the simple, ordinary activities for daily life that all of us are doing all the time, is to is that it takes the mindfulness practice off the cushion of meditation. It's not only about meditating. There's a non-separation. There's a holistic quality to how mindfulness is practiced, that it really involves our whole life, all the activities that we do. And it's in all the activities of life and in meditation that there's the growth and growing of mindfulness, growing our practice. And over time, we learn more and more how this practice can be nourishing and supportive, moment by moment. The way that being mindful, being aware, just feels better than the alternative of the mind streams getting involved in reactivity. And that it feels healthy and satisfying to be way of being here and present. And in order to have that satisfaction, it really helps that we know how to be grounded in the body, and so the awareness can flow through the body and be aware in a way that's not colored, influenced by the stressful ways of thinking, the unhelpful ways of thinking and the unhelpful attitudes we have. We learn healthy attitudes. We learn supportive ways of thinking and being in the world. Not in a way that's denying everything and putting up blinders, but actually it's the opposite. It's the ability to be present with an open way to it all. The more we can ground ourselves in the clear comprehension, the more we really appreciate the opportunity to be aware of all the different things that are going on, including what's difficult about ourselves, including what's challenging in the world. And we do it grounded and settled and open in a clear way. And so this is a training, a practice to do this. And so for some of us, it's begin learning this in meditation. And then the great thing is to be able to take what we're learning here and begin applying it in the ordinariness of our daily life. And having these ordinary activities of daily life not be done unconsciously or an automatic pilot, but be the training ground, the supportive ground for living a spiritual life. To use language maybe that I don't use a lot, but to do it maybe in a way that's evocative or captivating for you or gets your attention, to live a life that's in all the little details of everyday life is sacred. And so to see, to experience the sacred in going forward and returning, participating in a sacred way with looking ahead and looking away, to experience the sacred in bending and extending one's limbs, to really feel the sacrament of putting on clothes, wearing them, carrying things that we carry with our hands, to feel the sacredness of the attention, the presence, the engagement in eating, drinking, tasting, to discover the sacredness of all the different aspects of our life as we live it and moves through us, this way in which the life stream for evolutionary times come down through us and created all the different ways that we have to live in order to sustain our life, including defecating and urinating. And to feel the sacredness, the specialness, the nourishment of walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, talking, and keeping silent. All of them, all these ordinary activities that all of us are involved in every day, much of the day, that here is where we discover this valuable stream of life activity that is maybe better than some of the alternatives of the mental mind streams of attitudes and preoccupations that is so easy to fall into. May you really discover and value your ordinary activities as a place to cultivate a sacred life of freedom, generosity, and love, and nourishment. So maybe for this next 24 hours that you can now maybe explore how bringing attention to all the little activities of life, the little and big activities of what you're doing, how that can be nourishing for you and appropriate for you, and how to do them with a sense of purpose and appropriateness. And may you be delighted by the opportunity to do this. So thank you all very much.